There are a lot of exciting updates about Cyberpunk 2077 Update 2.0, and we even have new visuals from the Phantom Liberty expansion. There are some amazing new clips and details that we will explore shortly. Additionally, I've gained deeper insights into changes to the cyberware and the skill trees, along with information and official recommendations for starting Update 2.0 and the global release times for the expansion. We will cover all of this in this video, so buckle up and let's dive right in. Let's start right away with some gameplay from Phantom Liberty, because there was a video on YouTube, a live stream from a French news outlet, and they played the first mission in Phantom Liberty. They were at the black market, and then they also free roamed the city a little bit. And what's really interesting is that we get some really new and cool information about some stuff in Dogtown and specifically in the Phantom Liberty expansion. Let's take a look right here, because it says Marcin Iwinski, the CEO of CDPR, is in the game and seems that he is selling BDs that seem to be actually working. Not confirmed, but the UI suggests that they are consumables. That is so cool, because one big complaint when the game launched was that BDs are a big feature, but they only are accessible during certain story missions, and it seems that this will change with Phantom Liberty, because as you can see, there is a vendor that actually is selling those BDs, which is really cool. Just imagine that you can buy BDs now and can use them whenever you want. I think this is a great addition, and I hope this is actually the case. But there's even more information in the article, because here is a map of Dogtown, and this is our first look at the map. But what's even more interesting is that there is also confirmation that Morrow Rock, or the International Space Station located on Morrow Rock, seems to be now accessible, which we also will confirm in just a few seconds, because there is an official video from CDPR which actually is about the Growl FM radio station, but there is also some gameplay footage in it, namely this gameplay right here from the space station. As you can see, this is right in front of the space station, and we're driving to the space station, and the next snippet will be from inside, which is really cool. I think it's awesome that we now can travel to this location, which always was closed off in the main game. The videos also contain a lot more footage for Phantom Liberty, so if you want to check them out for yourself, go ahead and take a look at the video description where I post all my sources. I hope you enjoyed this video so far. If so, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and also, if you want to stay up to date on all things Cyberpunk Update 2.0 and Phantom Liberty, consider subscribing to the channel and activating the bell notification so you never miss a video. But now let's move on with the content. Now I want to discuss an article from PC Gamer with you, because I find it very intriguing. They had to say, Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 single best change is letting me become a chromed up cyborg, and don't sleep on Cyberpunk 2077's revamped cyberware when 2.0 drops. So let's check out what they have to say. Of the many reasons there were to be disappointed with Cyberpunk 2077 at launch, one of the most baffling was its cyberware. CD Projekt had talked up cyberware as major upgrades that players would need to carefully consider, but in practice, the whole system was underwhelming, they say. And I have to agree to some extent. There were some really cool upgrades, like, of course, double jump and mantis blades, and maybe even the gorilla arms if you fancy them. And there are even more cool upgrades, but there aren't as many really big and significant changes. So let's check out what they have to say how it is now. In Cyberpunk 2077's 2.0 update, I'm visiting Ripper Dogs so often that I'm starting to remember their names. Cyberware has been overhauled for Update 2.0, one of several systems to get a major upgrade with new augment types, more cyberware slots, and a reimagined skill tree dedicated to overclocking your Chrome. So this sounds really good. And they go on and say, the more I test the limits of cyberware in 2.0, the more I aspire to become the spitting image of David Martinez at the end of Edge Runners. That's really cool. With my current build, I have two different ways to slow down time, an air dash dense marrow bones that make my melee hits harder, micro rotors in my circulatory system that make me swing swords faster, and doom-like glory kills that sap HP from everything I kill. And of course, most of those upgrades were there before, but it seems like they make a really big difference now and have a lot more impact. Let's go ahead and dive even deeper into the article. They say some of the changes are cyberware capacity. You can equip a lot more cyberware at once under the new system, but not each cyberware piece has a capacity cost. You start with a fairly low capacity in the 20s, but perks and leveling up can raise it into the hundreds. So that's really cool. We of course know that armor now comes from cyberware, not anymore but from the clothes. So let's skip this. And then they go on and talk about overclocking. The technical ability perk tree now has a branch dedicated to improving cyberware components, boosting your capacity and unlocking high tier components at Ripper docks, another progression system right there. And then they talk about upgrades. All cyberware can now be upgraded to a higher tier with crafting components looted from the world. And I get the feeling that we will need a lot of crafting components, as it seems. And then they go ahead and talk about this. A lot of the best mods, like cool time-slowing Sandevistan implant David uses in Edge Runners, used to be gated by your attribute scores. That's true. Update 2.0 gets rid of prerequisites for mods and only asks that you have the capacity to equip them and the money to buy them. I think this change is subtly huge. Perks now only enhance your chrome, not hamper it, and balancing it out with capacity and armor makes cyberware feel distinct from the perk tree. And that right there is a really good change, because now you can really equip a very powerful piece of cyberware even if you have a low capacity, but then this might be the only cyberware you're able to equip. So you have to figure out if it's worth getting one big upgrade or maybe more small and minor ones, depending on what fits your needs. Then they go on and say, my only complaint so far is a pretty good problem to have. There is a lot of cool cyberware and perk options to choose from, but how they mesh together isn't communicated clearly. Information is divided a little awkwardly across menus, and I'm spending a lot more time tabbing between perk and cyberware descriptions than I should have to. And yeah, that can be really annoying, and I hope this gets sorted out maybe in a future update, but it seems like it can be a little bit annoying to find the best synergies. And their closing statement is, everything mentioned here is coming as part of the free update 2.0 coming September 21st, which also includes revamped police and car combat. So yes, this is all for free for everybody. Really good stuff right there, thanks a lot. Next I wanted to talk about the question I get asked the most by far, because everybody wants to know, should I start fresh when update 2.0 or Phantom Liberty will be released? Should I start a new character, or can I play with my old save game and my old character? What would you recommend? And I already gave my recommendation on one of my previous videos, but now there is official confirmation or an official recommendation by CD Projekt Red themselves. They say on Twitter, hey Chooms, while you'll be able to continue the game with your current character on an existing save, we recommend starting a new game after the update 2.0. Due to the number of changes, starting fresh will enhance your overall gameplay experience. So there you have it, that's the official information or recommendation from CD Projekt Red themselves. And of course, it makes sense. The game is overhauled completely, so depending on how old your save is, there might even be complications, but experiencing the whole campaign with update 2.0 will be a lot of fun, I suppose. What you always can do, and that's what I'm doing, is just keep your old save with your maxed out character and then start fresh with update 2.0. And if you fancy, you can still load up your old save and start Phantom Liberty with it. At least that's what I will be doing. But I'm curious, let me know in the comments down below what you think. How will you go about when update 2.0 and Phantom Liberty hit the streets? Will you start fresh or will you play with your old save game? But for everyone who will start with the Phantom Liberty expansion, there is even another option. as spotted over on Reddit. Check out this screen right here. When you create a new character and start a new game, you can choose between a regular start or to skip ahead to Phantom Liberty. So there you will skip all the main missions up until the point where Songbird is contacting you and where the expansion Phantom Liberty will start. You will also be given some armor, some chrome, some weapons, some clothing, and even a vehicle, so you'll be good to go and can jump right into the expansion. So if you wish to do that, you can also create a new character and just skip to the point of the expansion. And as a quick side note, of course, there will also be patch notes for Update 2.0. They will be released along with the Update 2.0 on Thursday. So just wanted to let you guys know and bring you up to speed on that. Now we've got to talk about an article over on GameStop because they have some really interesting information on the Update 2.0. Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 update rebuilds its gameplay to make a fantastic RPG. So that sounds interesting. Let's check it out. If you were in the camp that was underwhelmed by the RPG mechanics of the original version, where progression felt somewhat inconsequential in terms of influencing your playstyle and effectively building your character, this update is a strong and confident answer to that. It completely revamps the skill trees, improves the cyberware system, adds new elements to vehicular combat, changes police behavior, and on top of that, brings several quality of life improvements. After starting a new save and spending roughly 20 hours with Cyberpunk 2077's version 2.0, I'm happy to say from a gameplay perspective, it is now a stellar RPG, and that sounds fantastic. That's all we ever wanted. I hope players are satisfied with how the game turned out now 3 years after its original launch. They go on and say, I constantly found myself looking forward to spending attribute and perk points to gain that next ability I was eager to use, and planned my build several levels in advance by really inspecting the various tiers in each branch of perks. To me, the sign of a great RPG is when you're excited to level up, and the 2.0 update definitely delivers on that front. That sounds so good. That is exactly what the core of any RPG is, being excited about building your character and leveling up and just expanding your abilities. Great stuff. They say many of the granular stat advantages that were in the original version's skill tree can be found in the new cyberware system. In tandem with the revamped perks, cyberware is where you can fine-tune your build and truly get the most out of your preferred playstyle. For now, I'm scraping whatever eddies I can get by selling loot so I can pick up cyberware that buffs sneak attacks and headshots to make sure if I go with stealth, I'm as deadly as possible. That sounds really great, and yeah, again, I think we will have to farm a lot of stuff so we can upgrade all of our gear and all of our cyberware. And now let's talk about one of the more controversial features that comes to Cyberpunk 2077 with Update 2.0. Another notable change that fits into combat is the new stamina system. It is no longer tied to sprinting, so you can't sprint forever. Stamina is now spent when you shoot a gun, swing or block with a melee weapon, or dash. The different types of health inhalers and injectors are subject to a cooldown timer that refreshes your 2 charges. And now they go ahead and give a really good example of that. Take the Sasquatch boss fight in the Grand Imperial Mall during the I Walk the Line story mission for the Voodoo Boys. She's a tank of an enemy who rushes you with a massive hammer to deal heavy damage and knockbacks, and she doesn't get staggered from your attacks. If I just tried blasting away with a shotgun at close range, I'd run out of stamina and leave myself vulnerable without enough to dash away from her heavy attacks. And if I wasn't skilled enough, I wouldn't be able to rely on just pumping myself with health stims to survive my mistakes. Thus, managing stamina and health are now things that you have to account for in tough battles, even though they recover from cooldown quite fast. It also somewhat prevents you from feeling too overpowered to the point where you could get away with simply brute forcing your way through combat encounters. And to me, that sounds like a great change, because it seems like combat is a little bit more tactical now, and you really have to weigh the pros and cons on how to approach different scenarios. The article goes ahead and says, Cyberpunk 2077 now has two strong distinct pillars that elevate its RPG gameplay. Granted, you can still largely shoot your way through each fight as you'd do in the original version, but at the very least you have to be more thoughtful about it. Having all these new systems in place makes the experience feel personalized and the familiar combat encounters much more satisfying. It's as if my character has a stronger identity, which is an extension of how I built them for my new playthrough. And that sounds like a new playthrough in Cyberpunk will really feel different alone because of those changes. Now they have something to say about the performance. I've been playing on a PC with an Nvidia RTX 3080 and an Intel Core i7-12700K CPU running 4K resolution with quality DLSS and high settings, and it has performed extremely well. Cyberpunk 2077 also remains one of the best looking games to date. Bugs and glitches are inevitable for a game of this scope even after continuous patches, so it's not surprising to see silly things like NPCs clipping into geometry or AI not knowing how to react in certain situations. But thankfully I haven't had any game-breaking bugs or crashes mar the experience, and of course, especially regarding the rocky launch, this is good feedback because CDPR doesn't need anything else than smooth sailing for the launch of 2.0 and Phantom Liberty. Lastly, the article closes with the following. Comeback stories are increasingly common in games, but they don't happen overnight and without a ton of work behind the scenes. Games evolve, even ones that aren't in a live service model, and Cyberpunk 2077 is a remarkable example of post-launch support paying off. Should it have come out in the state it was in 3 years ago? Probably not. But today it's in a great state, and in 2023 several aspects of Night City are still impressive as hell. Now, with the 2.0 update, it's been rebuilt with a fantastic RPG system that makes it absolutely worth revisiting or playing for the first time. So there you have it. If you're still on the fence on playing Cyberpunk 2077 when 2.0 or Phantom Liberty launches, there you have your definite answer. Now let's talk release times, because the official Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter account released this infographic, and they say the wait is almost over, chooms. Phantom Liberty arrives on September 26th, 1 AM CST on PC and midnight local time on Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. If you're looking to deep dive into Dogtown as soon as it is available, here's a map with some global release timings. If you're in the West Coast and playing on PC, then you can start playing on September 25th at 4 PM PDT. Of course, if you're located in Central Europe like I am, then you will start on September 26th at 1 AM CEST. Preload on the consoles is 48 hours before release, so you will be able to preload on September 24th. And because it's not a global release, on console everybody will start at midnight of their respective time zone, which of course means you can move to New Zealand for one day just to maybe start a little bit earlier. This is definitely possible with this release, so go ahead and check out your possibilities if you're playing on console. But that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If so, please show some love with a thumbs up, and in the meantime I wish you all an awesome day and I'll catch you in the next one.